Hare Krishna, Namaste.
Chapter 13 is entitled as kṣetra-kṣetrajñayor, also as Prakriti Purusha Vibhaga Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Viveka Yoga. Text 3, Part 4. kṣetra-jñaṁ cāpi mām viddhi sarva-kṣetreṣu bhārata kṣetra-kṣetrajñayor jñānaṁ jñānaṁ mataṁ mama. O scion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. In the previous session, we learned that Atma is not the body, the prana, the external senses, the mind, the buddhi. In this, the Jivatma and the Paramatma are Chit, those that possess knowledge, whereas the rest are all Achit, that do not possess knowledge. Now, we will learn another grouping, categorization of Atma. Atma is that which manifests by itself, without the need for aid from anyone else. This is called Swayam-prakāśa or Ajada. There is one type called Jada and there is another type called Ajada. Jada means those objects that doesn't have prakāśa on its own. Ajada means those objects that has prakāśa on its own. Prakāśa, which means shine. Here, shine doesn't mean the illumination or light or the brightness. Shine here means that appears for a subject for discussion or analysis. Shine means that which appears clearly. So in that sense, those objects which doesn't shine on its own are called Jada, and those objects that shine on its own are called Ajada. This will be easy if we see with an example. When we say an object which shines by itself, we are not talking about something like a diamond, and we are not talking about something like a pot which doesn't shine. That's not the idea of prakāśa, shine here. Rather, when an object becomes a subject for discussion or an action, that means it is prakāśa at that given point of time. Now, consider a pot. The pot gets prakāśa, meaning come into a discussion or an action when the Atma sends a knowledge, jnana, through the eyes with the help of the external light, makes the pot to be eligible to be seen. Otherwise, pot is right there. It cannot manifest by itself or shine by itself. It is made eligible to be seen to attain prakāśa, not by itself, but by the external object, which is Atma in this case. Atma, through its knowledge, the knowledge travels through the sense called eye, and the eye, with the help of the external sunlight or a room light, whatever light, travels and touches the pot. When that happens, the pot gets its prakasha, manifest. Before that, it was not by itself. Therefore, the pot falls under asvayam prakasha, non-self-manifesting entity, which is also called as jada. Whereas jnānaṁ, the knowledge, manifests by itself. It is swayam prakasha. It is not depending on some other substance to be recognized. Therefore, jnana, the knowledge, is ajada. Since the Atma is made of jnana, we learned this earlier, it is also ajada, which means swayam prakasha, which means Atma is self-manifesting entity as well. There is no external aid needed for it to be understood. So what all can be ajada, swayam prakasha, which manifests by itself without other help? They are Jivatma, Paramatma, Jnana, and the spiritual world. Whereas the Prakriti and Kala are Aswayam Prakasha, which means Jada. They are always cognized only with the aid of other, like light, sensory organs, etc. Now let's learn a third way of grouping the objects. They are pratyak and parak. When an object only manifests or cognizant to others but not to itself, then it is called parak. When an object manifests to itself, is cognizant by itself, then it is called pratyak. Everything becomes easy when we take an example. Pot or a cloth, they do not recognize by themselves. Meaning, pot doesn't think that I am pot. Cloth doesn't think that I am a cloth. It has to be recognized by other entity. And the other entity which can recognize the object must be Chetana, that which possesses the knowledge, jñānaṁ. It cannot be a achetana, non-sentient being. A cloth cannot understand a pot. Neither a pot can understand a cloth. Why? Because both are non-sentient. So those objects need to be recognized by others. When it has to be recognized by something else, then they are called parak. Whereas when an object recognizes by itself, then they are called pratyak. With that, we can see that Jivatma and Paramatma are the two which are able to cognize themselves, and hence they are known as pratyak. Whereas rest of the objects, dravyam, the substances, are not capable of cognizing themselves, and therefore they are termed as parak. The body is parak, Atma is pratyak. The body doesn't know that it is body, whereas Atma knows it is Atma. So for we have learnt three groupings: Chetana and Achetana, Ajada and Jada, Pratyaka and Parak. To understand any object, we need to know these three groupings. The Atma is Chetana, which possesses knowledge. The body and other matters are Achetana, which doesn't possess knowledge. The Atma is Ajada, which is self-manifested, meaning it shines itself. And again, we saw what shining means. Doesn't require another element to make it manifest, to be known. Whereas body and other matter are Jada, which is not self-manifested, doesn't shine by itself. It requires another entity, Atma, to make it manifest or shine. Lastly, Atma is Pratyaka, which means it is cognizant of itself. It is fully aware of itself. Whereas the body and other matters are not aware of itself. They are known as Paraka. So, the Atma, who's kṣetra-jñaṁ, the knower of the field, and the body is the field, kṣetra. So, the kṣetra-jñaṁ, the Atma, is Chetana. The body, which is kṣetra, is Achetana. The Atma, which is kṣetra-jñaṁ, is Ajada, whereas the field, kṣetra, the body, is Jada. The Atma, the kṣetra-jñaṁ, is Pratyaka, whereas the body, the kṣetra, is Parak. Whatever we discuss for Atma, that is Jivatma, Paramatma is also Ajada, Paramatma is also Pratyaka, and it is also Chetana. Then what is unique about Atma, Jivatma, and why we have to accept the existence of Atma in first place? Those things will be subject matter for our next session.
Namaste. Hare Krishna.